All right, you guys, welcome back to eXp Family Tree Wednesday trainings. Happy 4th of July. Hope you guys had an amazing holiday weekend with your family and friends. And now we're back at it because we are at over half of the year now, which is what our topic today is going to be. Because as I was mentioning, as we were getting started here, the good news for most realtors is that the second half of this year should be better than the first, but we have to reset our goals. We have to refocus for the second half in order to achieve what we want to for the whole year. And no one better to talk about that with us than Coach Angie Gerber, who's here to talk with us about what our goals look like. What do we need to be thinking about at mid-year? How do we get ourselves into the action we need to? Many of you have already heard Angie speak here in eXp Family Tree. She's a business partner of mine in Minnesota. She's also a national coach. She's gone through her own amazing personal and professional transformations. She's very skilled in the real estate side of things, but also really from a mindset and a perspective of getting ourselves to do the things we need to do to achieve the goals in our life and business that we want. That is really where she specializes. And I think that this is a great time of year to get ourselves back on track as it pertains to that. So Angie, without further ado, I'm going to let you take it away. Please give another little introduction for those that don't know you yet, because we have a lot of people watching live. And of course, for those that are going to be watching later on YouTube.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Cari. So again, Angie Gerber, I got into real estate in 2014. I jumped from a 13-year career and just went for it. And I got right into production. I was on a high producing team and kind of got thrown to the wolves in a way, just baptism by fire all the way. And it was amazing. And I learned so much through it all. And I was setting goals and having my cash talks and doing all that stuff. And I kept falling short and just couldn't quite get to my goals. And it was through a personal, really rock bottom low that I hit personally that actually kind of made the space for me to hire my first coach. And when I did that, everything changed for me. And I realized what was happening and why I continued year after year setting these goals and not hitting them. And we'll get to all of it. But first and foremost, it was because nothing changes if nothing changes. And I have so much, I could talk about this all day long. So I will definitely have some points that I want to go over, but it's always more interesting and fun if it's interactive. So if you have any questions or want to add or want a clarification, go ahead, raise your hand or just unmute yourself and jump in, because I would love for it to be interactive. I had a slideshow that I had already, but I decided, you know what, we're just going to get on here and talk about it, because I know a lot of people are in different places with their goals. So I think it's just important to have an open conversation as well and see where I can best help. Yeah. Nope, you're muted, Cari.
Of course I am. That is amazing. And so, hi, Scott. Hi, Terry. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for joining live. So Angie, let's talk a little bit about that. For Scott and Terry, just a quick little recap. You know, we were talking about we're over our half year mark. All of us have an intention of having a better second half of the year than the first. And that's just from a market perspective. I think that's going to be the case for many. But, you know, we know what to do, but we don't always get ourselves into the action. And Angie was talking about doing all the things, working on all the business goals, but still falling short for many of, and she was still a high producer, but still falling short many times. And often it was because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And it really had to change in her mind. And she really had to be able to get herself into high action and take control. And it was a personal transformation that needed to happen and kind of a personal low that really catapulted her personal growth, which then led to business, growth as well. And so I want to talk around that, but maybe to start off, Angie, what are you finding, when you're coaching all of the agents that you work with, and from your own personal perspective, what are you finding is the biggest challenge when we are talking about business goals? We're looking at, okay, we're half the year. Here's what we need to make happen, because most people do feel like they're falling short. They're not always getting themselves into the action they need to, et cetera. So what would be some of the things that, tactical things that you've learned or some of the things that you're finding? And then maybe we open it up for discussion to see if anybody else has anything to add.
Yes, absolutely. So, and it is just that I know I used to fly across the country. You can hire the coaches, you can do all the things that you should do. But if you don't go in and do the work and really switch out the habitual habitual behavior that no longer serves you, a week later, you get all excited with these trainings, and then you come back and you're really excited for maybe the first day, maybe the first week, but then all of a sudden you're sitting back in your chair and you're just looking around and it's like, what, it's gone. And that is because we have our habitual behaviors and our paradigms that were formed in us, in our subconscious, by the time we were 5 to 8 years old. And so many of us are still living from those paradigms and that habitual behavior. And it's not until you go in and you do the work and you actually switch them out to what will serve you and what will get you to your goals. So a lot of that is through a repetition, and it's showing up, and it's first and foremost, I want you to look at your goal, the goal you set for 2023, because there's a few different types of goals. There's your average goal that, let's say you sold 15 homes last year and this year you want to sell 18. Well, I'm going to say you probably know how to do that. That's pretty average. Or you can do a good goal where I'm going to sell 20. So I'm going to go from 15 to 20, maybe 25. I'll stretch a little bit. That's a good goal. But I want you to really look out, is your goal outstanding? Is it inspiring? Is it the stretch goal that you're going for? So that's 50 houses. We're going to more than double your goal. So you want to have a goal that you don't know how you're going to get. The only prerequisite is that you have the desire and the want to do it. The how, you really shouldn't know. That will be presented to you as you go through the process of reprogramming and really stretching yourself to that goal. And what you do, and I talk about this week in my podcast, was morning and evening routines. It can really just even start there. What does your morning look like in the foundation of your day? How are you waking up? What time are you waking up? Are you waking up where you have to run out of the house, putting your pants on, trying to get out the door because you're running so late? Are you giving yourself the space to wake up, to do gratitude, to be able to sit and ask for guidance for the day, to get your plan of what are the 3 to 5 to 6 things that you're going to do today that are your non-negotiables that are going to move your business forward? And if you get 2 of them done, then they move to the next day on your list. And you really have intentionality set around it. And it starts with making the decision. And what my coach, because I think everyone should always have a coach, and the coach that I just hired, what he says to do is take that big goal, the outstanding goal, the big goal that you don't know how you're going to get, and you feel it. And you sit there in the morning and you go and you emotionally connect to, with your imagination, which is one of your higher faculties, the feeling as if it's an hour after it's already done and here, and you've achieved it. And you connect to that vibration and that energy and what that feels like. And you want to do that as many times as you can throughout the day. He has me set 3 alarms where I then, when my alarm goes off, I say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I've sold 50 homes and helped 50 families get into their home, or whatever your goal is. So you say it as if it's already here and done. I'm so happy and grateful now that it's already done. And you connect to that and you feel it as if it's already done. And the other thing is think about who you will become. Again, goals are for us. The goal that you actually get when you sell those 50 homes, that's kind of an after effect. It's who you become in the process of getting to that goal. So think about, who are you once you get to that goal? What type of decisions are you making? What does your day like? What have your disciplines, how have they changed? How have your daily habits changed? What do you need to do? Because I can promise you, I can guarantee you one thing. If your goal is big enough and it's stretching you enough, you will not get there from where you are today. Guaranteed, you will not get to your goal from where you are today. So it's about changing and rewiring and getting really, really comfortable being uncomfortable and stretching yourself, because that is where the beauty lies. And that is where many of the transformations happen, is in that uncomfortable zone and uncomfortable place. So I'll pause. I could go on and on, but I want to take a
Who has
moment.
anything to comment about that? I love it. I think that's one of the biggest changes that I made in my life about 8 years ago, as I wrote down my future self and I wrote down as it already happened. And I read it every day. And there is definitely some programming that happens because your brain is a very strong muscle. And if you already believe it's happened, you start acting as if, and that's how you become who you want to become. And that really was a big deal because, you know, if anybody's read the book Atomic Habits, another thing that was so huge for me in a few areas of my life was I can go try to create a habit, but if I don't believe that I am the person that's going to do those habits, then I still will never hold true to them because I don't believe I'm that person. I don't have that identity. I'm someone else. I'm a lazy person that goes to the gym. That will not be sustainable. I have to actually see myself as an active, healthy person that likes to go to the gym in order to sustain going to the gym. As just one example, that's an easy example, but it's true because if we don't really believe it at the core of our being, and we can't already see ourselves as that person, to be able to just change an action and have it be something longstanding isn't the truth. So if you aren't an agent that does 50 sales a year and you don't believe you really are, and you've always seen yourself as maybe a lower performer or a part-time agent or whatever, but you say you want to become that next level, you have to see yourself as that next level before you can actually be doing those activities on a regular basis. And one of the ways to do that is to train your brain by setting intentions, but talking about them as if they already exist. So does anybody do that out of curiosity or some form of that? I'd love to hear.
I know Terry wrote, I have on my mirror, it's December 31st, 2024, and I have $200,000 in my savings account and my new truck is paid off in full. Perfect. So what you want to do, Terry, is even just write it down, record it on your phone and listen to that memo 3, 5, as many times as you can. And it's not about listening to it or checking off something on your list to do. It's really connecting to it and feeling it as if it's an hour after your goal has been achieved. And quick side note, never like end cap your goals. Say or more or before. So just, leave your goals open-ended too. So I have $200,000 or more in my savings account, and my new truck is paid off on or before December 31st, 2024. So we want to leave our goals the minimum and then open-ended as well. And what my coach would have me do is really set an alarm 3 times a day, every 3 to 4 hours. And when it goes off, you sit and you write your goal out and you feel it as if it's already done. Then you auto suggest. So you say your goal out loud for 1 to 2 minutes. Again, the emotional, you have to connect to it and feel it. Feel it as if it's here and done and what it will feel like to have that money, to have your truck paid off. And then listen to it and auto suggest it and do that throughout the day. And that, like to your point, Cari, it's reprogramming and rewiring and becoming and living from that place. And so what does Terry do when he has, how do you feel when you look in your bank account and you have the $200,000 and make post-it notes? I know, put it all around and listen to it, make it the screensaver on your phone. I mean, we have to become just magnificently obsessed with our goal. Like you want to live it and you want to feel it. And it's got to become every cell of your body and really embody it, because what you're doing is, as you're rewiring and as you're impressing and through repetition, you're going through your conscious mind and you're impressing it upon your subconscious. And once your subconscious mind connects to it, because it can't reject anything, that's where the people, the places, the opportunities, the money, and the clients, all of those will be shown to you. It's just kind of like the staircase, one step at a time. You're not going to see the top of it, but you take the one step at a time and the way will be shown. You won't know how, but it will get into place the more that you impress this upon your subconscious. And then it's a law of the universe. It'll show up, and it's pretty cool.
I love it. Anybody else? Matt, did you unmute for something?
No, I didn't even see I was unmuted.
Oh, then I thought I saw you unmute and I thought you were going to say
no,
something.
I'm sorry, but I do that. I try to visualize that, and then, but I haven't written it down or set myself any kind of alarms, but I think that's a good idea. But I do visualize that kind of stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Write it down, then say it out loud and visualize it. every few hours. It takes 2 to 5 minutes. And I know sometimes you can't. I even carry around a goal card where I have it on my goal card. So every time I touch it, it will just go into your subconscious because it will hit that rewiring as well. It's fantastic. So connect to it and feel it as if it's already here and done. That's a big one. The other one that a lot of clients are doing is they're just preparing and they're getting prepared and ready to go to jump. And I have a post note that says, when you come from perfection, you're playing not to lose. So forget about perfection, get into action. Again, 3 to 5 things that you can do today to move your business forward. It's about the 1% better every day. We don't have to go from 0 to 100 like that. I mean, I've done it and you can do it too. The quantum leaps are phenomenal. But for today's conversation, 1% better. What can you study? Instead of studying for hours a day, do 15-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute blocks and then get into action. They say for every hour that you spend studying or on a webinar or learning, you should be out implementing 3 to 4 hours. So if you're studying nonstop all day or gathering information and not taking action, that's a trap. And I would definitely look at that and break free and really just take some time and get into action, because if you don't get into action, as we know, nothing will happen and they won't come. So that's another huge one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott posted something. Did you want to add anything to what that is, Scott?
Yeah, it's just something that stuck out as Steve Harvey gives a great talk about actually writing, because he does motivational speaking when he's not doing his show and all that. And he actually puts a vision board on his phone. So every time he answers his phone or looks at his phone, like his vision board was there. And he goes into a lot more, but I sent the link just as a follow-up if you guys want to follow up afterwards. It's a really good. It's about 8 minutes, 9 minutes long. So
awesome. I'll
yeah.
post that underneath this in the live stream too. Thank you for doing that. You know, it was interesting. I did the same thing. I think it's just like, you don't even have to think about it. It's just repetition. It's just, oh, I open my computer and my big goal is there. Oh, I open my phone and my big goal is there. And you don't even really realize you're looking at it anymore. So it's not bothering you. It's not taking hours of a day. It's really not doing much. Posting it up on your mirror in your bathroom. Some people post it by where they work out, if they work out in the same place every day. You know, there's been a lot. It's just literally, it's basically training your brain and embedding something subconsciously. And it really, really does work because our subconscious mind is very strong. And when I started, I always tell the story, Angie, and I didn't even really realize what I was doing other than I just knew I had to become so focused on a goal. When I became the team leader of the market center that when I moved into leadership many years ago, you know, my goal was to recruit 100 people. I never recruited a single soul. I had no idea what I was doing. And the cool part about this, and I love to tell a story, is I didn't have any limiting beliefs because I had no idea what people before me did. So I didn't know if 100 people was a lot or not. Like, I just assumed that because they told me that was what I needed to do, like it was possible and other people had done it. The funny story is, a year later, the owner of that market center told me that no one had ever done more than 33, but he knew if he told me that I would never hit 100 because it would become a limiting belief. And it would have. I would have been like, why am I not doing 40 then? Because why am I killing myself to do 100? But that limits you, right? I would have never known what my true potential was. And I would have said, oh, I did 50 and that's great. But I did 101 that year. And that was 3 times more than anybody else had ever done in that role in our entire region. And the reason why is because I came into it and I was so new. And I love that. I just want us to get back to like, erase those things about what you think is possible and not possible. The longer we're in something, the more limiting beliefs we have. And it was like, that's the proof that you come in and you're almost too naive to know. You don't know what you don't know. So you just go do. There is something very powerful about that too. And you can get yourself to that place, even if you've got experience, but you just have to realize that we are possible. Our potential is so much more than we think is possible. So what I did though, is I made all my passwords recruit 100. I had the screensaver recruit 100 on my phone. That was my picture on my computer. It was like everywhere. It was like 100, 100, 100. And I was like very obsessed with that one thing. The cool thing is, you guys, you don't have to have like a bazillion goals. See, I knew if I did that one thing, all my other goals were going to come to reality, because that means I crushed my job, which means I would have the income that I wanted because I knew what the income would look like when I did that. I would have other opportunities, and it was, it like all kind of trickles down. So what's the biggest rock? Because sometimes I think we get a little like overwhelmed, Angie, and I don't know if you, like, if we have like 5 goals, because for me, it was this one thing and everything became about that one thing. And I made it happen, even though I had no idea how to do it. This is the thing, you guys, I had no idea, but my brain figured it out, found the opportunities because I was so obsessed with it. It was just always looking for on my behalf, even subconsciously, it was looking on my behalf. And so I still kind of was like, how did I just do that when we hit 101 on the last day, the last hour? And then I looked back and it was like, wow, that was pretty powerful. My brain really, I was able to get myself to do something that I just didn't even know how to do. And I use that as an example when I coached people for years and years and still do. And I just love that because there's so much more I could have done. I could have recorded myself and said it, but I mean, just putting it around me visually made such a big difference. And I do visualize. I visualize what it's going to feel like and what's going to happen and everything that could occur when I hit that goal, because it was going to be a big deal. And that end game, that is very motivating to me. I came from college sports and I did that in basketball all the time. We would visualize, the shot going in and the free throws going in, because there was actual scientific evidence that your body will your brain will move your body in the exact motion it needs to move it in order to make the shot every time. The reason people don't make the shot is because they overthink it and they don't let their subconscious take over, because your brain will remember, muscle memory. It will remember what exactly the motion needs to be with your whole body to hit that shot every time. And if you would just let your mind do it, you'd be at like 100%. But of course, we can't be in control of our mind or allow our mind to be in control of us. We have stress and we have, whatever. There's all these things that come to play. And then we tweak our movement a little bit and then we miss the shot because we're doing it. But if we literally were able to just let our brain move our body and do it, it would do the same thing every time. And part of that is through actual visualization. So, that was something I knew. And I kind of started to think, how can I do this in this professional goal? And I didn't even know, I didn't even have someone like Angie, but I did that and it really, really worked for me. So I love this. Now, Angie, there's a couple apps out there about how you can actually like record yourself doing different kind of affirmations or goal setting and then play it back to yourself. And there's been a lot of evidence around that's super powerful because it's your own voice, right? So I don't know if anybody else has done that, but it might be something to take this to the next level. If you do a few of these things, maybe this could be something that really helps you a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and that's a great point because my coach in the top consultants and coaches and people that have really, they're the top 1% of what they do, hands down, at least in my profession of this mindset coaching, it's auto suggestion, which is a suggestion to yourself from yourself. And that's where you have the auto suggestion where you record it and you listen to it. Or in the morning, again, the morning and evening routine. This week's podcast on my podcast, Awareness, Once You Know, You Can't Unknow, is a really great, tons of information about that, but auto suggestions in there. So in I am statements, I am powerful, I am successful, I am healthy, I am wealthy. And as you're doing that, you're implanting it. So it's a lot of speaking out loud. I remember when I first found my coach in 2017 and I was a hot mess. He had me doing my I am worthy affirmation and I was whispering it in the mirror, like crying because I just did not even believe it. It was so uncomfortable. But you go through the uncomfortableness and know that even if you can do this in the mirror, when you look in your left eye and say it 5 times, and then you look in your right eye and you say it 5 times, that is a gateway to your soul. And if you can get yourself to say it and say it with conviction and 17 exclamation points behind your I am statement, as if it's here and it's done, it's powerful. And hands down, that's kind of what my Bob Proctor, my first coach, said. Auto suggestion, definitely, Cari, absolutely. It's a huge one. Yep. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, what do you guys, anybody do anything or have done anything with that or any comments on that piece of it? Because I think that is something that a lot of people haven't done, might be a little bit of a newer thing. I mean, some have been taught that, but I don't know if anybody actually does it. Just curious. Yeah.
If not, give it a whirl. I'm telling you, promise you, do it.
It is weird, I know. But if you find if you find yourself like Angie whispering it and feeling super uncomfortable, there's something there.
Mhm.
That's a sign you need to be saying it to yourself, because there's something going on there that you don't believe you are worthy, or you don't believe that you're capable, or you truly aren't invested in that. And so then you wonder, well, why am I not achieving my goals? And it really is that it's not that you don't know what you need to do to hit 50. You know what you need to do. It's just that you're not doing it. And usually it's a limiting belief, or we don't feel we're worthy or capable, or what happens if we get to that level of success, and how do we maintain it, or what's it going to do to my family because I'm bad at time management, or I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And so we got to find those triggers, so to speak, or those things that make us feel super uncomfortable, because those are probably an indication of where we need to, work. Matt.
Absolutely. Because you will never, like I said, from where you're sitting today, I can promise you, you will not get to your big goal. There's a lot of change and a lot of openness that needs to happen, and you will not ever outperform your self-image. So that's why we need to work on our self-image every single day. The power of 5 that my coach has me working on is, again, decision. So you want to make a decision, which is your goal, where you're going, your disciplines around that. How disciplined are you? What are you, again, because if you're not true to your word, and if you're not disciplined, then that's going to be another place you're going to want to start. And then you have your self-image. So it's really through the I am statements and through the repetition and impressing this upon your subconscious and working on your self-image. Because Cari, yes, if you're whispering this, you're not going to get there, because you have to feel it and be it and live from your goal already done. So what does that person do? That version of you do? What time do they get up in the morning? What conversations are they having? What are they reading? What are they listening to? Surround yourself with A++ players. Who are the A+ players? You're in the rooms with them. If you can't get into the rooms with them, you're finding them on YouTube. You're jumping on Cari's calls. I mean, there are so many ways technology is our friend. Reading the books, listening to the audible, like really become magnificently obsessed with this and come from that place. Because if you want to play in the top 1 to 3%, which only 5 to 10% of the population live, then you have got to change your habitual behaviors, your paradigms. And the beautiful thing, and I want to touch on this, Cari, as you were talking earlier, is that if any one person has achieved what you intend to achieve, there's no reason you cannot achieve it, because we are all energy. We are all connected. So many people think that we're a human having a spiritual experience, and it's actually the opposite. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. We are here for expansion. We are here for greatness. We are here to experience the highest level of that endorphins and love that we can experience. We're not meant to be depressed and have anxiety and have all these things that so many of us have. That's not what we're born into. Our at the core of us, we're perfection and we're perfect. It's just we get layered with all these beliefs in our environment and how we grew up, and just these habitual behaviors and paradigms that, again, were there and instilled in us by the time we were 5 to 8 years old, that 90 to 95% of people still live from, make decisions from, wake up with, go throughout their day, don't think, they just let this programming take them away. And that's where I learned that nothing changed until I went in and changed the programming. Now, do I think everyone should have a coach? Absolutely, because they're going to get the blind spots. They're going to help you. And I run the Thinking into Results program that will help with that. But if you can't hire a coach, again, really be aware of your thoughts and what you're thinking, because I tell you, we do become what we think about every single day. So if your output in your results, let's say your results are not what you want, you back it up. What actions are you taking? Well, we take actions based upon how we're feeling. And we feel the way we feel based upon what we're thinking. So it all starts with your thoughts and what you're allowing in, because energy and thoughts are always flowing to and through us. And it's what you accept, because your conscious mind, you can accept and reject thoughts. You can accept and reject news. You can accept and reject fears, all that stuff. but your subconscious accepts everything. It cannot reject anything. So all the things that you're accepting into your conscious mind are seeping into your subconscious. So that's where you really have to draw the line at your conscious level. And it's almost like the fake it till you make it, or, live from it already done. It's not even faking, it's feeling it as if it's already here and done, and impressing that upon your subconscious and coming from that place and coming from that person and those habitual behaviors and paradigms. And that's where so many people have the disconnect, because they let the current bank account, you look at your bank account, it might not be what you want. You look at how many deals you're posting, it's not what you want, and you feel crappy about it. Or, oh, debt. Well, keep saying debt, you're going to keep getting more debt because you're giving yourself debt. So set a debt repayment program and focus on prosperity. Say prosperity, wealth, that type of thing. Or another one is weight loss. I got to lose this weight. Well, when we lose something, what do? We want to go find it. So you want to release the weight so you don't go look for it. So words matter big time. And we're just so getting through our day and rushing along and not thinking about it, that 95% of people just truly do not think the way that they should, or realize how much our subconscious is always eavesdropping on us. And it's so, so very important to get the awareness around all of this amazing information.
That's awesome. Matt.
It's not real estate related. I'm not a real estate coach, but I used to train pre-licensing, and I've trained a lot of realtors for a lot of classes. But everything you're saying, and I probably misspeaking on this call, but I was a social worker for 20 years, and I worked with abused women and hard to reach foster kids, a lot of them girls. I did suicide intervention, and everything you're saying, I swear, I feel like I'm in a social work class right now, because to get them out of that mindset that they're not worthy, I used to have to say, you have to say every day, I am worthy and deserving of a fair life. I'm worthy and deserving of not being beat up every day or abused. So my whole mind, when you're talking, I'm going, I think, is she training a social work class? Because I feel like that's what you should be doing. But it's so critical, because it can snap somebody out of that deep chronic depression, or feeling that the abuser did to them for so many years, that you're not worthy and deserving, that nobody's going to love you, like even, whatever. But everything you're saying works more than just real estate. But I've never used it for real estate, but I'm going to now. I've used it for other things like that. But thank you for getting that message across today, because I think it's valuable in every aspect of people's lives.
Well, it's interesting, Matt, because what's interesting is you're making this connection right now. And this is a connection that I made probably about 10 years ago. And I say this all the time. I don't believe that there are really that many business problems for entrepreneurs, because the reality is, if you have a business problem, go Google it. Or go talk to somebody who's been before you. You get the answer. There's really not business problems, but there is personal problems showing up in our business every day. And the thing is that it becomes extremely apparent in entrepreneurship, because we can't just go to work and have a bad day and sit there and look like we're working and still get paid like we can when we're an employee. When we're a business owner, all these personal triggers, this unworthiness, this trauma that happened, this limiting belief, that, all these things show up every single day, because they literally make us not make money. I mean, they literally stop us from making money, because we can only make money when we are in a good mindset and we're actually getting ourselves into action. And so all of the entrepreneurs that I've coached that's what we're talking about. It's not about business as much as it's about what is leaking into your business and how do you solve that so that you can get yourself into action, because then you'll be successful. But the coolest part about this, guys, is that this is being an entrepreneur or small business owner, we get paid to work on ourselves. If we're getting paid to work at a job, they don't want us working on ourselves. Just show up and punch the clock and do the work and go home. Now, it's work to have to work on ourselves and work on our business as an entrepreneur, but we literally get paid. Like, we will get paid in proportion to how much we grow ourselves. And that is a very powerful thing, because guess what? One of the most innate human needs is growth. So if we're not growing ourselves, we're dying. But if we grow ourselves, our business can't help but grow. So it's a 2-for-1. It's amazing. But the problem is, a lot of people don't get that. They don't make that connection, or if they do, it's later down the road. And so, Matt, if you start taking this into your conversations, especially I think with new agents, if you could combine that, it's so, so powerful, because no one talks to them about that. We're talking to them about how do you get yourself into transactions? And that's great. Yes, of course, we need to have the skill, but no one tells us that it's, our growth of our business depends on if we grow. Nobody tells us like these things are going to start showing up in your business and you're going to have to work on them. And that's powerful when we combine the two forces.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
just making notes as you're talking. So I'm like, oh, I could go off in so many different ways. I could be here all day. I'm not even kidding. But anyways, so law of compensation, again, there's laws of the universe. They're not man-made and they can't be altered by man. You can plug in and play, or you can ignore them. Gravity, good person, bad person, you jump off a building, what's going to happen? So think about that. But the law of compensation is the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty there is in replacing you. Well, there's a need for what you do. We know that. Your ability to do it. And if you think about number 3, the difficulty there will be in replacing you. If you look at number 2, your ability to do it, and really focus on getting better, to Cari's point, every single day, coming from service. If you show up to serve others and serve at a high level, and you make that your reason to do what you do, that will be felt. And then your ability to do it is show up and get 1% better every day. Study, become the elite. Real estate is a huge, huge pool. So I have different people that want to focus on different areas. Maybe you have a niche that you want to go into. You should be at the top 1 to 3% of that, of what you do. And not many people are willing to put in the 10,000 hours of the ability to do it. And once you put in your 10,000 hours, then it's another 10,000 hours. And you're always upping your game, because the best of the best and the elite of the elite are never done. They're never done. They're always going to be learning. They're never going backwards. The thing is people say, well, you should be satisfied. I don't believe that. Gratitude, you should always 100% be grateful for where you are, because if you aren't, you're collapsing the energy and you're not allowing anything in, but never satisfied. We are meant for expansion. Once you get your one goal, what's next? Once Cari hit the 100, I'm sure she's like, I'm going more. Once you hit this goal. And the beautiful thing is I've done this with thinking into results year after year after year. And I seriously, at the end of it, I'm like, it really works. But of course it does. Of course it works, because it is just about how your thoughts become things and you become what you think about. So it absolutely works. Can't not happen once you get it impressed and implanted in your subconscious. So it's really just a process. And to your point, Cari, we really do make things more complicated quite often than we need to. But I think what I'm realizing from the clients that I'm working with is that every day you can choose fear or faith. You can't see either, and you get to choose one. And so many people have that hard, like my bank account's this is my reality. This is what I'm living today. So then they feel that way. And it's just this circle they spin in, because they feel that way. What you put out, you get back. Well, I feel crappy. I'm putting it out. I'm getting it back. I'm putting it out. I'm getting it back. And having the faith is disconnecting from your 5 senses, disconnecting from what is here and now, and going and connecting to that place and that goal and feeling it as if it's here and done, and having the faith that in doing that and coming from here to up there as many times as you can throughout the day, raising your vibration through the auto suggestion, through the setting the alarms on your phone. And that's where the things, the opportunities, the money will all be put in your path. But the disconnect is people choose fear and they stay where they're at, because at least they know what they're going to get. And being comfortable in fear for most people is better than taking that leap of faith and really going for it, because it's unknown and you can't see it, and it's detaching from your 5 senses and really going into your higher faculties and using those to get that, which is where that's where 1 to 3% of the population make 97, 96, 97% of the money, because they get this and they do this and they live from that place of faith versus fear, knowing that fear will be a part of it in being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and getting out of your own way, because we're our own problem and our own solution. And so many people have that backwards. They think that the cause is the results, and that's not it at all. It's us. Well, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
It is really cool. I mean, I think the biggest thing is that we have to feel like we have the power. And we do. Sometimes we don't feel like we have the power because we're in a mindset of everything's happening to us. It's happening to us. I'm stressed again. I'm this again. I'm broke again. But we're saying that not because we want more of it, but that's what we're in. And so to your point, to remove yourself from that, because if you don't remove yourself, the more you say that, the more your brain goes and looks for more of that, because the brain doesn't differentiate that I don't want to be broke. It just keeps hearing you say broke, stressed. And so it's not hearing not stressed, it's hearing stressed. So changing your words, I think, is so powerful. I had a conversation with somebody today, recently, not even about real estate, just about the life, is like, you have to be so careful what you say, because so often I hear that person saying stressed, I'm stressed. You're going to keep having more stress. You need to stop and sit and start replacing with like words that you want to be relaxed, peaceful, those sorts of things. But it's hard because it's trained in our brain. So that's why these things where you have Post-it notes, you have recordings, you have screensavers, because as a human being, these are patterns in our brain that are not going to be easy to undo. So we have to give ourselves grace in that, but then we have to take some of these tactics. So speaking of that, as we wrap up, all right, you guys are looking at your goals. You have goals for the whole year. You know where you're at. Now you start from scratch. Okay, I am at this percentage of my goal. So now for the rest of the year, in order to achieve that goal, if I'm sticking with my goal, by the way, you can give your permission to change your goal anytime, and there's nothing wrong with that. I want to give everybody permission to that, because sometimes people set out a goal, not because it's their own, but because they think they should have it as a goal. That's not a good reason to have a goal. It has to be your goal. You have to actually want it. You've got to connect to it. And if you said, you know what, God, I had an amazing first half of this year and I didn't do quite what I thought I was going to do, but I'm okay with that, then you probably should reset your goal for the second half of the year, because there's nothing wrong with that. And you don't need to judge yourself, and nobody else is judging you. So number one, do you need to reset your goal? All good if you do. If not, and you want to stick with your goal, you got to subtract what you actually accomplished, figure out what do I need to do from now to the end of the year, break it down by month, and know where you're at and where you're going, because you can't push yourself to something that you don't know. It has to be a true destination, and then get yourself to connect with it. And at that point, Angie, just top few things, tactical things as a recap of this call. What can keep people do once they've done that with their goals? What should they first do? And I know we probably already talked about it, but I just want to recap it. What would be like, okay, if I were you guys, you've got your goal now, you've broken it down, you know what you need to accomplish, personal, professional, both. Here are the top 3 or 5 things that you need to go do about that today. What would those be?
Connect to it. Like I said, as many times as you can, feel it as if it's already done, and start making your decisions from that place. Start doing what you should be doing today from it already done. So live from your goal already here and done, not when it happens. It's happened. If you've implanted it and you've put it out there, it's already out there. Now you just need to connect to it. So it's really about the disciplines. You've made the decision, you made the goal. Disciplines. What are you going to do, knowing that you're not going to get to your goal from here? And that's okay. Accept that. Now live from it as if it's here and done. What are you doing? So making decisions from that. And then Cari, you said something I want to touch on too, is when something's happening and a deal's falling apart, or this is not, or that's not, when you're saying this is happening to me, it's happening to me, stop and ask, why is this happening for me? Because there's good in every situation. What happens is we focus on the bad or the negative or what's happening to me. So figure out and put that aside and really come at it as neutral. Things are good or bad because we attach good or bad to them. The more you can be neutral about things that are happening and come from neutrality, and keep an open mind and look at why something's happening for you, not to you, it changes everything. It's the perception. Take a moment to just look at the perception and how you're perceiving a situation, and look at it from a different standpoint. It changed everything for me. Absolutely. Morning and evening routines. I didn't get into that as much as I wanted to, but really at the end of the day, a lot of people have morning routines, but at the end of the day, do a recap, have a win journal, where you write out your wins for the day, and then ask yourself, what did I do really well? Write it down, and then focus on as well, what didn't go right? Where was I triggered? Where did I react versus where did I react versus respond to a situation? How did I not show up as that person that has that $200,000 in the bank account in the truck? Like, where did I fall short? And then make that your focus for the next day and really be aware of your thoughts. Your results do not lie, and the results are a direct reflection of your thinking and where you're coming from and your paradigms and your habitual behaviors. So becoming aware of all that and doing the 1% better every day, at the end of a year, you're going to need a telescope to look back and see who you once were. And it starts with the awareness, the decision, the disciplines, self-image, setting a standard that you're going to only accept this. And that's a whole nother, again, there's so much good and gold in here, but that's a lot of it. In morning routine, set your foundation up, write your 3 to 5 things down and get them done as soon as you can, because every time you get something done that you say you're going to do, that helps with your self-image, because you're doing what you say you're going to do, and what you're building your discipline as well, and you're being true to your word. And if you're not true to your word to yourself, we all know how that feels.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any final comments? Great stuff. I hope that you'll take a few of these tactics and start employing them, teach them to people that you work with. When you teach something, you become better at it too. It becomes more of a habit for you. All of these things, even if you did one of these things and you don't do any of them now, it would change your business or life. And we'd love to hear you come back or to this post and comment if you do some things for a while. And and we're going to have Angie back. Angie now is kind of going to get back on a routine of maybe jumping in here every month or so, because she just does some really great work, and she can dial into some of these more specific things, and she teaches on a lot of things and has helped many people. So we're looking forward to that. So please watch for that, because if you like this and you want to keep implementing more of it, we want you to show up to those. Angie, also, do you want to type in the chat box how people can get a hold of you if they want to talk to you more about your coaching? Also, you guys can find Angie on work chat as well, if that's easier, but she's just doing some really cool things, and she's really offered some awesome opportunities to people within EXP since we partnered together, because our goal was really to help more people. So this is her email. You can find her on work chat. Any final comments from anybody as well as we sign off today, you guys?
Is your new password recruit 500 now that you already have 100?
It's so funny that you say that, because I don't have that right now. Like, I should. I don't know.
Good reminder.
I'm talking about this out loud, and then I'm like, yeah, why don't I have that going for me again? So funny, because a lot of my focus has been personal. Like, I kind of ebb and flow. I really get into like a professional goal, and then I feel like then I really hone in on a personal. I know that if I hone in on my personal growth, my business will always grow. And so I find that I kind of do that every once in a while. So a lot of my growth in the last 2 years since I joined EXP has been very personal, although I've had great professional success because there is a correlation. But now that you say that, now it's almost like, okay, now I've got that flow going. Now I need to say, okay, what do I really want to accomplish in this next year from now professionally? And I feel like if I do it like that, professional, personal, because I like it to be one thing, you guys. For me, when I do this the best, it's just the one thing that is everywhere. So if I have to feel in that moment, what is that one thing that's so important to me? And then I go for that. And maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's a year, but when I feel like I've got that on track, then because I've really focused on it, then I can pivot to the next thing. And that's maybe something that would work for you guys too. Because for a while I was trying to do multiple goals, and I know that there are multiple big rocks, but I always still feel like for me, there's one that's the most important at the time, at the time, not in life in general, but at the time. Right. And that is just something that works better for me, is to have that one thing.
Yeah. Well, and I love that. And I think that speaks to the power of 5, your decision, discipline, self-image, attitude, and standards. So the standards. So my goal is big as well. And I think about, like, I need to be healthy to get there. So as I'm eating, I'm like, would I eat this? Like, that person that's there, that's around those A++, that has that personal trainer, that has that chef that can make the food, is that, that type of thing. Think big. So many people cap it, but really, to your point, Cari, this will encompass your whole life. Some people have a person, some people have a professional. I just have a professional, and it will all come about because as you're working on the power of 5 and your standard, and you're setting your standard from that place, you'll start making decisions differently. You'll start looking at things differently, and different things will come into your sphere of, just your orbit, because you're going to attract it, and you're going to need those things and want those things and desire those things to get there for sure. Yeah.
I love it.
Love it.
Final
Yeah.
comments, you guys. Ahas. Matt,
Oh, well, I don't want to take up, I'll let someone else speak if they have a comment.
anyone want to say an aha before we, yes, Sharon.
I'll just say that one of the things that just hit me, Angie, is I'm someone that believes a lot in simplicity. And I have to recognize when I actually am hitting goals that I don't think I'm hitting. So one of my goals was to achieve something new in 6 months. And my other goal was to take time off. So I can't have it both ways. I have to say, okay, but I was able to have, shorter days, more time with family, that hit that goal. I just have to reset my expectations for the other goal, and how much it meant to me for that. So just having everything kind of visible was a really good takeaway for me today. Thank you.
Absolutely. Love it.
Matt,
Good.
I was just gonna say, I love these calls because I think it was great today, Angie, too. And I know, Cari, you pour into people. I'm not even in your downline, and so I think that will happen for you when you say I'm worthy and deserving, because you give so much of yourself back. And out of 90,000 agents, it's not that common. I mean, we all collaborate, but I think you do it at a different level. So you are worthy and deserving. You're going to get 500.
thank you.
I love it.
Exciting. I'm at 182 right now. So once I get to 200.
Oh, dang. Nice.
In 18 months. So apparently it's been about 10 a month. I need to up that now to 20 a month. I need to program it in my brain.
Love it.
Happening. Awesome. Yes. I love giving back. The thing is, when you give, you receive too, right? So, people always say, gosh, it's a lot of your time, but what else would I be doing with my time? This is valuable to others. It's valuable to me. It brings me joy. So that's what I focus on. And to the most time, if you really do focus on what you believe you should be doing, you usually get back what you need and want. But again, it's the consistency of action. I've been here for 18 months and I haven't really skipped a beat with any of these trainings for 18 months straight. And there's a lot of people that just don't keep it going that long. And it's if you commit to something, that would be my advice. You just got to commit to it, keep doing it. And also be grateful for it. Don't think of it as it's something I have to do. It's something I get to do. And Angie always says that I get to do this. And that's what we should all be saying to ourselves, because we do. And we're really fortunate, even if we don't feel like it some days. And I don't feel like it some days, just like everybody else, because we're human beings. All right, you guys, Angie, you're a blessing to us. Thanks for being part of this. You guys, thanks for joining. Come back next Wednesday. We posted all the upcoming Wednesday trainings in EXP Family Tree. Grab that image, invite a friend, share it on your social, put it in your calendars, join us. We've got some great people coming in to talk about lots of different things. If you guys are trying to grow on the revenue share side, don't forget we do every Monday as well. And that's also posted in EXP Family Tree in the pin post. So you've got all the details there. Thanks, you guys. Have a great rest.
Thank you.
Bye.